Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do my mid-February check-in. Would have liked to have actually been uploading this today, but I crushed my toe, I broke my toe, put a damper on things that I could actually get done, so it's going to just go up a little bit late, no big deal, whatever. We're going to go in order through all the books that I've read so far in February, with the exception of one, which is on my Kindle here, because I want to do a different video with it once I finish the sequel. So without further ado, we're going to start with the first book I read in February, which was Breath of the Dragon by Fonda Lee and Shannon Lee. I love this book. I absolutely love this book. I talked about it a little bit in my last video. This is spectacular. This was like a old kung fu movie, kind of in book form. I've never read anything from Fonda Lee before. I am now exceptionally excited to start Jade City and the Green Bones Saga. This focuses on this character, June, because his full name is June Lee, and within this world, certain people are breath-marked. So they are born and they have like a dragon scale on their skin, or sometimes different scales, and that gives them special powers. And June is a twin, and in the beginning of the book, his twin brother is breath-marked. And on the side of the country that they're on, which is split into two halves, east and west, people who are born breath-marked are examined and kind of taken to live in the Imperial City. It's very, very Shadow and Bony in that way. Well, martial arts training is illegal for everyone else in that part of their nation, on that half, and so June is separated with his father. They are kind of exiled to the western half of the continent, and it kind of centers around June and his desire to compete in this grand martial arts tournament, and kind of from there you get a little more glimpse into the world and the background and the kind of the family history, and it's just spectacular. It's very much the hero's journey, but I really enjoyed it. The character work was great, the world is really cool, and I cannot wait for the second one. I hate that I devoured this so fast. It came out and I read it within a couple days, and now I gotta wait forever until they finish book 2. But Breath of the Dragon by Fonda Lee and Shannon Lee, I think I gave it 5-star. I think it was my first 5-star of the year, actually. Oh, my reflux has been really bad since I've been on these antibiotics. So the second book I read, these are out of order, was a Nightworms horror book, and that is The Day of the Door by Laurel Hightower. This was, just right off the bat, much better than I was expecting it to be. I really enjoyed this book a lot. So this book centers around the Lasco family, specifically the 3 siblings, a little bit of their mother, and their past family trauma that ended up in the death of the eldest brother. They blame a very narcissistic, mentally ill, toxic mother. The mother blames this ghost story kind of throughout the house and all this other stuff. And it kind of centers around the siblings and the mother coming together to kind of be on this like internet ghost hunting show and all that. And throughout the book you get a deeper glimpse into how the Day of the Door impacted each sibling, how it impacted their lives as adults, and you start to wonder, as all these events start to happen in the house throughout the filming of the show, who was actually correct in what happened. And it just has this spectacular spectacular climax, and slight twist of an ending. I don't want to go into details or expand on that further for fear of spoilers, but I really enjoyed this book. I think I gave this a 4-star as well. I gave Breath of the Dragon 4 or 5. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I definitely gave Day of the Door 4-star. I really enjoyed it. Again, it was just Nightworms. I have more Nightworms books I need to read than I have read, but of the 8 I've read, only one was a kind of a miss, and that was just stylistic. That was for me. I don't have any real gripes with the book, and I think if I had been in a better headspace, I would have liked it. Everything else I have read from my Nightworm subscription has been an absolute banger. Cannot recommend enough if you can get in. The next book I read was again a Nightworms book. However, this one needs a little trigger warning, specifically for self-harm and suicidal ideation. So if those are particularly triggering for you, I would recommend you kind of avoid this book. If not, I think it is well worth a read, and that is Coup de Grace by Sophia Ajram. I always want to say Ajram, but it's Ajram. This is very impactful. So it centers around this guy, Vicken, who he's kind of committed himself to this plan to take his own life, to throw himself in the St. Lawrence River in Montreal. And it starts with him on the subway. And you get this brief introduction about why he kind of is just done, why he feels the way he feels. And then these weird little interactions he kind of gets along the way. On the train to kind of get to this river. And at one point, he gets off the train and there's no one else at the station. There's no other train. He ends up in this liminal space. And that is where the horror of this book really starts. If you're not familiar with what liminal space is, it's kind of best described as an in-between state. So these quiet little, potentially haunting moments in between different places or things or events in our lives. Very creepy, and they're very unsettling. It's kind of an interesting topic to kind of look into, because they can be as harmless as when you would go to a school dance. You would walk in, you'd see everyone at the desk, you would go pass through a small hallway, maybe to a bathroom, and there would just be nothing but dead silence in a dimly lit hallway, and then you would pass through that and you would be at the actual dance. That hallway would be like a liminal space. And this kind of focuses on the terror of that and kind of dials it up to 1000, to the point where it's kind of this alternate reality, almost like, it's not really a haunting book, but it's kind of like the Overlook Hotel in The Shining, actually, in a lot of ways. And it's kind of his journey throughout this entire thing to kind of get through, and again, deal with his own trauma and his own plans. It's a very haunting book, and it's a very heavy book, but I did enjoy it. I think I only gave it 3 stars, but overall I did like it. I just, again, if self-harm and suicidal ideation are triggering for you, I would personally recommend you avoid this book. It's only a couple, not even a couple hundred, 150 pages, but it's a really recurring and a really heavy theme. It is the theme throughout the book, really, ultimately. And it's a very poignant story, but it is a downer. No hope, no exit is kind of the tagline, and it is very heavy in a lot of ways. I liked it overall, but be warned. The next book I read was not a horror book at all. I will say it was a downer in that I didn't really like it very much, which bummed me out because I do really like this author, and that is The Chosen by Saran Matharo. I really loved the Summoner series. I have heard nothing but good things about Dragon Rider, and I think the second book in that series, I think it's called the Soulbound series saga, or Soulbound series. I'd have to double check that. But the second book is either out or coming out soon. I've heard nothing but good things about the first one, but this was a miss for me. I don't think it was terrible. If it was any longer, I probably would have DNF'd it. The Chosen kind of centers around this one character, Cade Carter, and some of his classmates at a reformatory school. Cade was sent there incorrectly. Basically, his roommate at a boarding school had stolen a bunch of laptops and hidden them under Cade's bed. Falsely accused, he was sent to the reform school. And then they were all kind of teleported to this weird world, kind of in between space-time, Land of the Lost style, basically. And they have to survive. And there's not a lot more I can say about that without going into spoilers. It didn't develop characters as well as Summoner series did, like at all. Even Cade didn't get near as developed as Fletcher was. You don't really get much glimpse into any of the other boys, any of the other characters, and I can't. The one other character that I don't want to go into spoilers. I didn't love it. I didn't like it. There's no development. Some of the plot elements don't work very well, I don't think. It's just pretty dull until you get to like the last quarter of the book, and then it's like, what in the world is happening? Everything all at once in like 25 pages, and I don't think the pacing was very good. I'll probably read the second book and kind of decide how I feel about the series from there, because this is a trilogy. If the second one is like this, then I will DNF. I won't read them. I'll end up donating them or taking them to Second and Charles. I gave this one for sure a 2-star. I know it's 2 stars because I wouldn't give it a 3, and I almost never do 1 star. If it's a 1 star, I'm just gonna DNF. Yeah, I was not a fan of The Chosen. I love this series. Summoner was fun. Summoner was super fun. If you like YA fantasy, but I just wasn't a fan of The Chosen. And finally, I talked about this in my second to last video, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but that is 12th Night by Alexine Farrell-Fulmouth, who also writes under Olivia Blake, and I had a really fun time. This was my Valentine's Day read. I really liked it. I thought the characters were great, the development was great. It is a Shakespeare retelling, right, but I thought it was very well done, and I had a heck of a time kind of reading this. I would recommend it. Alright, so my SD card was full, so back to 12th Night. Again, it was a Shakespeare retelling in a modern setting. I thought it was super fun. If you like YA romance, I would really recommend it. But I had a blast. I think I gave it 3 stars. It might have been 4 stars on Goodreads. It might have been 4 stars. But I think I gave it 3, just because it is kind of out of my wheelhouse. You know, it's kind of like when I read ACOTAR. I really liked Asimov. I wouldn't call it my favorite fantasy in the world or anything. It's just outside what I normally read. I had a fun time doing it, but still. And that is everything that I have read so far in February. I have 2 more books that I am for sure gonna finish. I'll talk about them in the wrap up. And I'm gonna try to fit Darcy Coates' new Gravekeeper book in there. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's the Vengeful Dead. Yeah, Vengeful Dead, because I got the Hollow Dead there. Vengeful Dead, I'm really excited for her. I love her Gravekeeper series. We'll talk about that in another video as well. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for all your support, and I will catch you next time.